Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to the Scrappy Cinema Podcast. I'm Ryan Ritchie, and with me today we have the director and creator of the short Flowers, Birds, and Dad. It's Brandt. Brandt, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks so much, Ryan. I appreciate it.
I wanted to have you on, A, because I saw your short and enjoyed it, but also because I always like when people have an opportunity to see the short. So a little later on, we'll talk about how people can watch this short after they hear a little more of the background on how it came together. So why don't you give us sort of the rough overview of what Flowers, Birds, and Dad is all about?
Yeah, so it's like a slice of life short film that kind of focuses in on a florist in the Mayfair neighborhood of Philadelphia, and specifically where Frankfurt and Cottman Avenues intersect. And it does this on Super Bowl Sunday. I lost my father that in the year prior, and so I was kind of reckoning with this grief and this heavy emotion of this kind of big game and this bond that we shared of being big sports fans and big Eagles fans and what to do with that. So I explored it in this piece in a way where I talked to other fans and strangers who I don't know and just kind of get a little bit about their Eagles fandom and how it ties themselves generationally to their parents, to their kids. Um, and so in the doc, you get to meet the wonderful employees and some customers at Stein Your Florist. And I think it gives it a little bit of like a workplace comedy vibe, almost like Abbott Elementary or The Office or Parks and Rec. And then that night, not to spoil if you're not aware of the 2025 Super Bowl by now, but the Eagles do win, so I get out in the streets and see what the game meant to people and see what the victory meant to people and try to capture that passionate intensity and make an argument that um, the reason that Philadelphia fans are so passionate and intense about sports and how sports fans in general are can often be about something that's like complex and deeper than what happens in the games. It's really about um, it could be tied to memories and bonds that they share with others in their community or in their family.
And for those who maybe aren't familiar with the area, maybe try to explain a little bit the significance of that particular intersection.
Yeah, it's long been a gathering spot for Philadelphians in moments of sports championships. And I actually spoke to a business owner on the street, and it just didn't make the cut, but he was talking about how there used to be a lot more bars in that neighborhood and at those intersections. So a lot of people would watch the game at the bars and then come out. Unfortunately, quite a few of them closed during COVID. And there are still a couple there, but really it's a densely populated area with a lot of row homes and a diverse community. And so people kind of still, this year continued the tradition and all, came out of their homes from that neighborhood, from varying neighborhoods. Some drove through. So it's just like it was a really interesting gathering spot. I think on social media when you see like the videos of Eagles fans after a Super Bowl win, you see some pretty crazy stuff, and most of it comes from Broad Street, where you have a lot of like college students and young professionals. What makes this intersection interesting and different is while you still have those folks, you have a lot of families too. You have a lot of multi generational reactions to the game and to celebrating. So yeah, that was kind of the significance of that spot.
And why a flower shop? Or why that
Wow.
one in particular, I should say.
Yeah, I can answer both those questions. So after the Eagles won the Super Bowl in 2018 against the Patriots, I was driving home to New Jersey after spending the night with some friends and listening to sports talk radio, and I was so moved uh, by all the callers who were talking about loved ones who were no longer there, who didn't loved ones who either introduced them to the Eagles or shared that passion with them. Didn't get to see them finally win one because that was their first Super Bowl. And a lot of these loved ones were paying respect by laying flowers on their graves that morning. And so I was hoping to find people at a flower shop who were participating in that ritual, or that kind of ceremony, or moment of remembrance, and that didn't end up working out, or that didn't happen. Um, but regardless, it is. I think it's a pretty cool um, kind of community spot that you wouldn't necessarily connect with football. I think there's a little bit of irony to it, as opposed to if I had just been at like a cheesesteak shop or a bar or something that would have been like more expected. And then I chose Sign Your Florist because a couple things. I had taken a look at their social accounts and noticed that they had some like really they had employees with big personalities, and I thought that was really cool. They're one of the few flower shops that are open in Philadelphia on a Sunday, so that was obviously critical. And then just the location. Like I said, like I knew that this location was such an intense spot of celebration, if the Eagles were to win. So the location made all the sense in the world too.
Well, given how you selected that spot, it's really interesting to me how comfortable many of the characters seem to be on camera. They don't seem to be nervous or camera shy about your presence, and I'm curious how you got that vibe that they were so comfortable with you being there, or is it just the nature of the characters that work there?
It's a lot of things. I do want to shout out to the owner, Patrick Kelly, who was just awesome, and like allowing me to come in and film what was a very busy workday for them, and gave so much of his time and his employees' time. Um, and they were all, yeah, I felt like they were truly themselves. And I think I had thought that would be the case in a way because it was the Super Bowl. It was like I was going to be around Philadelphians who were Eagles fans on the day of the Super Bowl. Like when when would they be less guarded than that? There's something very disarming, I think, in this style of documentary, of just like one person with a camera, held at their chest and talking to somebody, and you don't have a boom in front of someone or lighting or a crew. And I think for certain projects, you benefit from that for sure, and you benefit from getting people to open up a bit, and making it feel like it really is just a conversation. And so, yeah, as I spoke to these people, I really didn't even. That's why some of the framing gets a little wonky at times, is because I'm not really looking at my monitor. I'm, just trying to hold it as steady as I can, hold my rig as steady as I can on my chest, and have like a face to face conversation with them, and look them in the eyes and ask these questions. And I think that for a style documentary like this, you can get like really authentic responses from the people.
So you had mentioned, not having the boom mic and that sort of thing. I did want to touch on a little bit of the technical aspects as far as what did you shoot with, and how did you keep the footprint so small?
I shot with a Blackmagic pocket camera, the 6K, with some small rig and Tilta accessories for like a small little handheld rig with a follow focus, and had a Rode shotgun mic, and then I had Rode Go mic packs that I would use for audio. And it was the space had so much natural light. There was I guess you could have noted that on why it was such a great location for this too. It's just full windows all across the side. Um, so I was able to get away without lighting. Um, and the tech, my lens was a Sigma Art 18 to 35. It was really like just kind of things that I had here. I didn't go about renting anything. This was all like personal equipment that I use for personal projects, and like home videos and stuff. So that was what I used. Looking back, I actually don't know that I would have used anything different. I think it came together so quick in the end that I went to shoot this, that it was important to me that I shot with something that I was like really comfortable with.
And I think that was part of keeping folks comfortable that you were talking to as well. You know, you weren't there with a phone, so they could take it seriously, but you also weren't there with a 3-person crew and a boom, like you said, and everything else to make it too much of a production. So I think you did a good job of kind of hitting that sweet spot of what worked for
Well,
them.
thank you. Thanks.
Um, Earlier you said, you think of it sort of as slice of life, and that is very true. But my goodness, you capture, as things turn out, like you said, spoiler, the Eagles win. Uh, you really captured a specific place and time that I think over time will be more valuable, because just as you mentioned earlier, how that neighborhood has already changed. Um, it just felt very much like you were, authentically capturing the emotions and the celebrations in that moment following the game.
Thank you. Yeah, time and place definitely. I mentioned John Wilson earlier, and when I was like hitting a roadblock in the edit, I was watching an interview he did with Museum of Modern Art, and he talked about just the importance and how much he appreciated uh, documentary work and films that just that captured a time and place. And I think at that point I was feeling pretty stuck in the edit and feeling like I just didn't have something I wanted to finish. Even I was kind of frustrated with it, and that kind of gave me like a renewed purpose of, yeah, you know what, I can make some changes here, and if I didn't follow a specific person, if I have to open up my own story a little bit more, that's okay. Let's experiment with that, and let's focus on like the what it means to, as you just said, have a time and place captured, because I do want this to be something that um, you could watch in 20 years, hopefully, and it gives you a sense of that time and place. I would love to, uh, you know, um, in the film, Dana talks about, she works at the flower shop, and she talks about being out on those streets when the Flyers won the Stanley Cups in the '70s, and um, gosh, I would love to see a film from that, So maybe in 30 years someone would actually, maybe one of our teams is winning, and people are still out there, and maybe they can look back on this.
So obviously, often short subjects and short documentaries tend to have a personal connection for the filmmaker, and clearly that's very much the case with you. I'm curious how far before the Super Bowl you started thinking of using video as a way to sort of capture that excitement around the team and honor your father at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, like I had mentioned with the feelings I had listening to those stories on Sports Talk the morning after uh, the Super Bowl 52. It's an idea I just had had in my mind a long time, and I went back looking at like photos from 2016 in Chicago, and like Cubs fans at cemeteries that next morning, and cemeteries like filled with Cubs signage, and so I think um, this idea of like grief and sports fandom being tied together was something that was on my mind for a long time. I wasn't really sure how to tell that story or what story I wanted to tell specifically tied to it. Um, and then this kind of came together because I didn't know how I was going to watch the game. Um, I I spent a little too much money on tickets to get to go to the championship game with my girlfriend, the NFC championship game that was 2 weeks before, and it was an amazing, amazing experience. And then then they win, and it's time for the Super Bowl, and I'm not able to buy Super Bowl tickets. And I'm like, man, like this is going to be kind of like a hard game for me to watch, and I don't really know. Um, I don't know that I want to watch it at home. I don't know that I want to watch it at a bar. Like I didn't really know how I wanted to be in that moment, and I was started having a lot of anxiety about it. And then it just kind of came to me like that Monday. I started calling flower shops. I just kind of had the idea and said, you know what, like yeah, like let me just do something. Like let me make something. Let me kind of do something that I wouldn't think I would be doing, and try to tap into this idea that I had loosely been meditating on for 7 years.
And where did you ultimately end up watching the Super Bowl? Were you at the flower shop for that?
No, no, I was I rented a hotel because my home is like an hour and a half from the city. And so I knew that and I knew I wanted to be at the flower shop the morning after. So I knew that like going back and forth wasn't going to be an option. So I rented a hotel room on like points that I had up the road, and it was such a and I kind of wish I captured more of that, because I'm in the room, I'm charging my batteries, I'm dumping my cards, I'm getting ready uh to hopefully go back out and into the streets and celebrate if things go right. And I go to the bar downstairs to grab a beer, and I start talking to some like there are guys there who aren't Eagles fans who are on work trips, and the bartender is so sweet but knows nothing about football, and she's asking us to explain a first down, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe like I'm explaining like football terminology in the Super Bowl, like in a game that was that high stakes to me personally. But there was an Eagles fan who's a security guard there, and like during plays, like we were screaming and high fiving each other and running laps. And so I watched the first half at the hotel. And for those who don't know, it was kind of a blowout. Like by halftime, the Eagles, I don't think we felt like we weren't super confident. They did lose the lead in the Super Bowl the 2 years prior.
Listen, it's
It
it's
was
it's the nature of an Eagles fan to believe the bottom's going to fall out. Let's
Right, of course,
just
of
put that
course.
out
So it
there.
wasn't until a Devonta Smith touchdown in the third quarter that it was like, okay, this is good. But at halftime, I said, people might, if this goes the right way, people might celebrating early. I need to just get down to the intersection. So the second half, I listened on WIP, and kind of like it was such a funny, and again, like there's so many moments you wish you had and you did, and that's one of my big takeaways. But I'm listening to the game on my phone. I'm watching all the police officers like watch on their phones as they're kind of getting ready for crowd control. And when I came home the next day, I DVR'd the game in full. So I came home the next day, and I watched every play start to finish.
So this was a great plan. I have to ask though, what if the Eagles had lost?
Yeah, it's a great question. I've been asked it in some Q&As, and it's tough to say. I think I would have still wanted to make something because I had invested that moment to um, not watching the game to going and filming something. But I really have no idea what it would have looked like, or I think a big like I think in this story I try to tell that like um one of the reasons for putting like so much emotion into sports is because if you do get that big victory, even it might not even be a championship game, it might be a game that sends you to the playoffs, it might be a game against your rival. um you can feel like closer to your loved ones in that moment, um and in a joyous way, in a way that like offer myself offered me like a reprieve from my grief. And it's a different feeling when they lose, and I don't know that it means you don't feel close to them. I think you feel close to them because you're watching the game, but it's not a reprieve from your grief. It's like but so yeah, so I don't, so like the thing I really try to get at the end of it would be totally different. So it's tough to say. It's just kind of, I guess, documentary work where you only know so much going in, and then you see what happens, and you figure it out in post.
And just briefly on post, what did that workflow look like on this project? How long did it take you on post? What did that look like?
Yeah, I tried to turn it around um, pretty quickly, like in a couple months, because I just had some festival deadlines that I wanted to hit. And I did all the editing on my own. But I had some really amazing friends and colleagues, current and past, give me great notes that really helped me and helped me through some roadblocks. My girlfriend gave me some awesome notes from early on. It just was so helpful to have fresh eyes, as it's such a solitary project, right? Which is definitely something I'm going to do different in my next one. I want to do something that's more collaborative, but this was so solitary. So it was great to have those fresh eyes and feedback. And then a good friend of mine who's very talented, Eric Harding, did the audio mix and did a terrific job. And um, I knew I needed the color to be really good. So I got a recommendation from a friend and used Umami Color and Finishing in Brooklyn and Anthony Campagna, Luke Butler, and they just knocked it out of the park. It's like one of my favorite things that of the film, the color. And I there were some shots that I got to tell you were not good, like just overexposed, or and so but that was what was great about shooting in B-roll and the Black Magic was my colorist could go into Resolve, change ISO, like really some amazing tools with shooting in that style for especially for the style of documentary that I was going for, where I'm not with a crew. Like I'm kind of just like doing the best I can to manage this while also having a real moment with who I have on camera. Um, so the color was a big part of it, and I was really happy with how that finished product came out. And that's yeah, I think that wraps the post. Yeah.
And were you able to do that process with the colorist remotely? Did you go to their
We
place for that? How did that work?
Yeah, we did it remotely.
Okay.
We had talked about doing it in person, but I was on such a tight timeline, and they had a lot of projects going on, so it made sense to do it remotely. And I can't remember the program they used for screen sharing, but it was excellent. Like it was really. I just kind of sat here and like looked at some. I think he pulled like 6 to 10 clips that we did together that all kind of like were from different settings from the film, and just made sure they were in the same world. And based on what, my feedback on those, he went through and did the rest. And then I gave some small notes after it, but not much. So remote for this, it worked for me. I would have loved, like, if I was looking forward to doing it in person. If the time allowed for it, I would have loved to have done that. But luckily, thankfully, remote worked great.
So there you are. You've got your final cut. You're ready to go, ready to hit the festival circuit, um, or at least consider what festivals might be worth it or not worth it. What was your strategy when you started thinking about what am I going to do with this now that it's finished?
Yeah, my strategy was I first wanted to, focus on I wanted to focus on some regional festivals, that, hopefully programmers would see, oh, like an Eagles thing. Like, yeah, okay, I'm moving this to the top of my queue and watching it. And and then of course like shot for some bigger name festivals, that were just kind of dream festivals, or some documentary specific ones like Hot Springs or Big Sky. And yeah, I don't think I necessarily planned my festival strategy well. Like I submitted on a lot of late deadlines just because of the timing of the project. And I think that didn't help me, as far as like, not getting into some. I was super grateful to get into the Phoenixville Festival where we met. And that was an awesome experience. They're a great team over there. And it was near my hometown, which was cool. And yeah, I knew that I wanted to kind of get this out in the open before another NFL playoff season had passed. So it was basically get it into festivals. If I got into like a dream festival that was like going to conflict with NFL playoffs, then let's let's focus on that, and then maybe release this around the draft or something. Um, but in April, but when I'd heard back from a lot of the festivals that I was kind of looking at, I said, all right, you know what, I want to get this. I want to get this in front of people, for the playoffs while they are still the reigning Super Bowl champions, and see if kind of there could be some organic traction, based around uh, people. I think this, like when you're a sports fan and your team's in the playoffs, you're kind of like consuming any content you can. So I'm kind of hoping to capture that moment a bit here.
So as we're recording this, it's January 6th, just before the playoffs begin. The Eagles are in the playoffs. It's not a sports podcast, so we don't need to go too deep. They are the third seed and have one game at home. We'll see how that goes. So you're doing something with making the film available to sort of coincide with this playoff run, however long it might be this year.
That's the plan. Yeah, I haven't totally committed to leaving the film up because it's on my YouTube channel right now, and I still would like to look for potential distribution options. I'm still looking at applying to YouTube channels that host short films and are kind of curators of short films. So that might end up being where it lives long term. But right now, it is available just on my own page.
Well, we'll make it available on scrappycinema.com, of course. And for people to see it on your YouTube channel, where should they go?
Yeah, if you go to the handle at flowersbirdsdad, that will take you to my YouTube page, and the preview's on there, and the film's on there, so you won't have to dig.
Very good. And I have to ask now, I'm hoping I'm my new role is not to ask this terrible question unless I'm pretty sure there's a project to talk about. But what are you working on next?
I'm working on becoming a dad. My
Oh,
partner and I are expecting in March.
congratulations.
Thank you very much. Kind of ties this film kind of full circle. So not rushing into any film projects right now. Just kind of want to focus all my my energy and into that, and making sure that we're capturing those moments too on camera. Um, but I do want to do something else, and I would love to do something that might be more of a collaborative nature than this. This was a great experience, but and it could be scripted, it could be unscripted. Yeah, that's what hopefully at some point next year after baby comes, I can kind of somehow find some time to take on something else.
You have to teach the baby to hold the boom mic. That's
Yeah, yeah, get really strong triceps, right?
well, congratulations and best of luck on the new project as well. I'm not going to make you give us an Eagles chant here before we go. There'll
Everyone
be
can
plenty
do
of
it at
those.
home. Yeah, 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 sure.
There'll be plenty of those.
Watch the film and do them along. We'll have to do like
That
a chant along version. Yeah.
that's perfect. Brandt is the creator and director of Flowers, Birds, and Dad, the short film you can see right now on his YouTube page, or you can see it on our homepage. Brandt, thank you so much for joining me today.
Ryan, I appreciate it so much. Thank you.